Welcome back, tubers. So I thought I would today take pack 5, cell 5 out of service. So this is cell 54 that I took out, and this is the one that I used the AntiMatter Discharger unit on to work out that it was 163 amp hours. And given that that was only a 15 amp discharge, if it had been a true figure, I would have had to do 1 amp per cell, which means 80. I would have had to do an 80 amp test. So who knows how accurate that figure it is. But I'm definitely going to start using this to test every single one of my packs. So every single cell down there, I'm going to pull out of service and do a 15 amp discharge test on every single one, and write it on the bottom cell how many amp hours it is. And I might even do the same test a few times to see if there's any sort of consistency, unlike the opuses where there is little consistency between the actual tests. This cell here was my lowest cell I had in production at the time. As we can see, there is no broken fuses. There's nothing really wrong with it, apart from the fact that it's just full of heaters. Well, they're not actually heaters, these are actually good cells. They're all tested fairly well. What I'm going to do is, because I don't want to actually have to break the whole thing apart, what I want to do is show you how you can do it without actually just destroying the whole pack. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cells. So not the blue ones, but I'll take all the cells on this side. And I'll just take one 5x4 and basically replace all the cells. Obviously I won't do this one here because that's a good cell. The way you do that, the really easy way, is by just cutting or desoldering the positive end for the fuse, and then go around to the negative end and then desolder the cells that you want to use, and just move the wire away so you don't damage it. And then what I do is then go back around to the positive side, simply get a bit of a round object or something and a hammer, and I just break it through. So the little tabs holding the cells in, I just break them off and then knock the cell through. And the reason why I do it on the negative side, I've pushed out through the negative side, is because these wires will provide enough rigidity to actually keep the cell into place, I hope. Well, there we go, all out. A little bit of damage to the actual bus bar itself, bending it. I had to move it slightly. The cell holder's a little bit worse for wear, but look, I think it's still going to work perfectly well. Once I get those negative terminals put back on again, should be all good to go. And just out of interest, we got a 25, we got a 21. These 21s feel like the SZNs, if I should be honest, but we're not going to show anybody that. So we got a 22, a 22, 23, 23, 22, 21, 22, 23, 21, 21, and 2500 milliamp hours. So they weren't really bad. But this one was having trouble charging, and it just wasn't coming up as much as the rest and going down further than the rest. So I don't know whether it was perhaps internal resistance to the Sanyo cells, not altogether sure. But if we grab some more cells here, this is the plan. I've got a bunch of grey and green panos. We'll swap some high capacity cells in there, and then we'll see how we end up. Okay, so that didn't go so badly. I did tear up a few of these little sleevey cases things trying to jam them in there. I got a bit lazy and was trying to stuff them in without actually cleaning the cells off properly. and as a result it just tore them up. But it's all back in there now. All I got to do is solder them back up again. I have made a pretty good mess of all those cables, so I might have to fix some of them up, do the fuses on the other side, balance it up and get it into production.
If we keep this speed, we'll blow up any minute now.
Oh yeah, there we go, about 6 hours later.
20, what's that? Focus, 28 amp hours went into the batteries.
Of course it was almost fully charged, so it would have just trickle charged that last little bit. And let's get a full discharge test on this again and see how much capacity we added to it after upgrading those fuse cells. Well, that was a really horrible result for a really long test. I ended up getting 5 amp hours more? Oh, that just seems wrong. 54 must have more issues than what I expected. That, or that's just as accurate as every other device that our community's used. Who knows, but I'm not going to waste another 2 days charging and discharging. I'm just going to put it back into service and see where I end up. Cheers, tubers.